And here is gunfight for MAME. On MAME, I should say. Yep. That's all he does is he walks out there, he shoots down to the corner, and walks off. Obviously there's a yellow overlay. So we are just about there, guys, with having this thing good to go. Of course, it's got a little graphics issue there. And we got to make sure it's got all the sounds. And check some controls. I don't know how the controls work on this. I have all new optic encoder things or whatever, so it should be good to go. I'll just make sure the circuitry around it is good and stuff. But yeah, so first thing I'm going to do is I want to find and get that graphics error cleared up, and then we'll move on to sound and testing. Alright, I took some time to go ahead and clean all of these edges down to bare copper, and then I re-tinned them. And how I do that is I just solder the pads, and then I solder every pad, and then I turn around and I go and I just take a rag right there and melt the solder with the iron, and then take the rag and just do that. All with every finger, and it tins them nicely. So I did all of them. I tinned the whole board, cleaned and tinned, front and back, of course. Make sure we get good connections. Connections are everything. So now that that's done, I'm going to take time tomorrow. It's late. It's late tonight. I'm about ready to be done for the day. But I'm going to go and I'm going to recap this whole board. I already cut this one out so that I could get to that. That's this guy right here. This big 2200 microfarad 35 volt cap. Rex. Peace out, Rex. Alright, yeah, I'm going to recap all of the electrolytics on this board. And I think I have a couple of these these angles, the Midway angle things. I want to connect a couple of those to steady this board set while I mess around on this board with chips so that it's not flexing in the connector. So I'm going to anchor this down on this board, on the big board, so that when I'm working on it, it don't move, you know. So that's it. That's it for tonight. So I'll be back tomorrow with some recapping. I sprayed these volume pots with my deoxit, loosened them right up. Yeah, I wouldn't get nothing out of the sound amp. Sometimes I'd have to mess with this connector, you know, and get it on there just right so that it worked. So I was like, yeah, I got to go through and clean all of these, you know. So now we shouldn't have a problem. So all right, see you tomorrow, guys. Okay, so we have caps are all done. New capacitors, new electrolytics. And I'm removing, I removed the amps because I want to replace these sockets. I don't want these sockets causing sound failures and intermittent popping and in and out sounds and whatnot. But what you have to do, there's so much oxidation and whatever on these pads. You have to solder and desolder them kind of over and over until they look like this. And we lost one pad there. And I'm going to, on this other side, you see where there's some connections on this side. Wherever there is a connection, like these two pins and these two pins, I'm going to solder and resolder that till those are shiny so that the solder connects good. And I'll show you what that looks like after I'm done with it. I just solder with the desoldering gun and just keep going until they're nice and shiny, and you'll see the difference. It just ensures a good connection. So I'll do that and I'll show you. Okay, and that is done, and you can see the difference. Nice and clean and shiny. So we'll get a good solder connection. And that's the same thing I had to do on this side to really clean them up good. Yep, so I'll go ahead and put sockets in there. I'll clean the amps. I'm going to clean the paste off of the amps and that, and put new paste on it. And then put that back on, put that back together, and move on forward. This guy, I did not have a, I didn't have a proper cap for this, so I had to do this, which, whatever. So alright, let me finish this up, clean this up. I'm going to clean all the flux off the back, and then I'll be back. Okay, we are all cleaned up. Little white residue from the flux. I'll brush that again. No big deal. I had to glue down a trace that was coming up. This guy right there. That one right there wanted to come up. You can see the glue residue. The best thing to use that I find, in my opinion, to glue these down is this stuff that you can get at the dollar store. Kiss brand brush on nail glue. This stuff will glue anything big time. It's super sticky stuff. That's what I use to glue traces down. I got the amps cleaned up. I got everything cleaned up, and I got the new sockets in, looking great, ready to go. So I will put this together and put some paste on the chips, put the heat sink on, kind of screw it down, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, now we got our heat sink on our amps. Got it pasted with new paste, new sockets. Just kind of snugged up. I didn't over tighten these. I snugged them up. And let's put this thing back together, and we'll start, now that we got all the caps done and everything, I'm done with that and refurbing. Now we still have to figure out the graphics issue, which we will. But this has been refurbed nicely, so that's out of the way. So let's put it back together and see what we're working with. All right, we're back together, and we're still doing that same thing with the moving objects mess up. So we have something funky on this board that we'll have to find. And there's not really much on this board, so it shouldn't be a problem. But what I do want to do, like I was saying before, is I want to put a couple angle brackets on here, secure this board good so it's not moving back and forth and flopping around in this connector down here. I want it to be stable while I'm clipping to and analyzing chips. So I'll dig up a couple of those angles. And really quick, if the dip switch 1 was on. If I turn it on, hear that? Come on. All right, now let me, I'll restart it. You can hear the amps work great. Yeah. And it starts a game. And you can see it's counting. And the count circuitry seems to work fine. 50, 49, on down. Yeah, that seems to work fine. So, yeah, it's just this, you know, the graphics. You got your bullets down here. That's kind of cool. So, I think I'm going to go back to MAME and see what is this and play the game a little bit, do a little gameplay, what to expect, what am I looking for, because I really don't know much about this game. So, let's do that. Let's set up and play some MAME Gunfight. Okay, and here's MAME on, or here's Gunfight on MAME. And I've done a little bit of research on this, and Gunfight is an awful lot like another game that came out by Midway a couple of years after Gunfight called Boot Hill. And what I have found is I've looked at some real arcade game footage of Gunfight and Boot Hill. And they've kind of got the sounds mixed together. Some of the sounds in MAME for Gunfight are not actually in the game. Like the music, when you get shot and it does the that's actually Boot Hill. That is not in this game. All this game does is shot sound and hit sound. That's it. So I'm going to go ahead and coin this thing up and play. Yeah. That is not in this game. You know what we need to do? I can't. Let's do this. Let's go to our MAME folder and go to Samples. And do we have Gunfight or is it just Boot Hill? Here's Gunfight. Let's copy that. Let's paste it. And let's open it. Go into it. Yeah. Yeah. See, that needs to be changed. If I still had sound editor for this ABS. Did I install that? I don't think I did. Maybe. No, I didn't. All right, let me do a little finagling here with this, and I'll be back. All right, I edited the sample set a little bit, and now it's just this. That's it. So that's what we're expecting to see, and I have to figure out how this analog, because the controls, you control your cowboy, you control him with an 8-way joystick, and then you can move your gun up and down, or if you just leave it centered, it fires straight. But that's an analog control. So I need to figure out, how is that? Is that just a pot? Is that move a pot? How does that work? So, because I have to be able to test that. So I'm going to look at the schematic a little bit, find out how that is done, and go from there. But yeah, this is what we're expecting to see. It's just shot and a kill sound. This looks like the Atari game for the Atari 2600 called Outlaw is based on this. And I remember when I was a kid, and I mean like 5, 6, 7 years old, I loved Outlaw. I loved playing Outlaw. I actually played Outlaw with my kids when they were little. It was pretty cool. I had a main machine. It was made out of a junk Defender cabinet that I bought from an operator. It was ready for the garbage heap, and I saved it, and I maimed it. And I had to where I could do a Atari emulator on that main machine as well. And I got pictures of it. I should post that. I got pictures of my kids actually playing that machine when they were little. This is almost 20 years ago. It's probably 2003, 4, maybe 5. So it's going on 20 years ago. But yeah, you could play the Atari 2600 emulator on my main machine, and we would play, I remember playing Outlaw against like my brother, and my kids would play it, and they'd play Outlaw against each other on my main machine. It was pretty freaking cool. Good memories. But anyway, this is what we're expecting to see. Just a couple of sounds. It's a shot and a hit sound. So we will, yeah, go back over, and I'm going to look at the schematic a little bit. I want to look at the controls. How was that analog done? And then, yeah, go from there. We'll figure something out. All right, and we've got the angle brackets on. Nicely secured. I've got the board kind of upside down to where I can have good access to this board. And we're running. And we do have our sound, which is good. Our amps are working fine. Everything's good to go. So we're just going to go ahead and start poking around. Yeah. So I will do that. I'm just going to grab my little scope and start probing around on these guys and see what's going on. Alright, back together. Parts replaced. 1, 2, and 3. See? And if we come over towards the monitor. Gunfight. And look at that. Our graphics are now right. Cool. And for good measure, what I did is this thing originally I had left 3 of these ILD74 opto couplers. I left 3 of the originals in. I removed them and put brand new ones in. So it's got all brand new opto couplers now. So there should not be an issue with the gun aiming and all of that. And I've replaced this resistor pack over here. So we should be good to go with that. I still need to look into, I'm going to look in the schematic or look at something and find out how this thing is, how those analog things work. Is it just a pot or what? I don't know. So I'm going to look into that. But yeah, our graphics are now what they should be. Very good. Gunfight. Yeah, I had to adjust my monitor a little bit. I had the brightness way too high. Looks a lot better like this. I don't know if you can tell in the camera, but I put the brightness way down. Cool. Okay, by looking at the schematic, it says, and I don't have it pulled. Yeah, I do. Well, no, I have the wrong one pulled up. Anyway, what it's saying is, basically, I need to hook up 5 volts, I believe 5 volts to these 2 pins right here. Or just one of them, 5 volts to one of those guys. Because that is the voltage that is the difference between, basically you have to have 5 volts and ground for these things to work. And right now it's all ground because I don't have anything hooked to that. So I am going to hook up 5 volts to that and see what happens. Alright, I pulled up Space Invaders Deluxe and I got the power supply schematic and I'm trying to find VLED, and I have found VLED. It's right there. I want to know what is VLED. And I came over this way and followed VLED back. And you can see VLED is a positive voltage because it's right off the transformer right here. It says 14 volts. Goes through a 3 amp fuse and is rectified. Right here is rectified. Oops. And just comes right over to here. VLED. VLED doesn't look like it has a capacitor. Any capacitor hooked to it. Oh yeah, it does right there, 1000. So it's smoothed by a 1000 microfarad cap. So I'm going to put 15 volts on VLED, because I do have a 15 volt lug on my setup. So I will do that. That will be my VLED. Yeah, no wonder those resistor packs get so hot. It's got 15 volts on it. But anyway, yeah, so I'll go ahead and do that. And we'll see what happens. Alright, and this wire, this white and red wire right next to the yellow one, that's VLED. And that's coming down, and it is connected to 15 volts DC, and I've got 15 going to the audio That's audio power as well. So now we have VLED. And VLED is not used on like Space Invaders or any other game, Space Invaders Deluxe. VLED doesn't do anything. But apparently for this game, VLED is needed. So let's go ahead and hook this thing back up and see if our controls work. Alright, we're hooked back up. I have VLED hooked up and running to the board. So we are turned back on. I'm going to put the camera on the tripod. And I'm just going to, looking at the pin out, every pin on that 18 pin connector does something. So I am going to just kind of take a little pointer and ground out everything and make sure that every pin does something. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is coin. There we go. We've started. We have started at 90 seconds. I'm just going to hit every one. Everyone should do something. That's it. It works. Every pin does something. Excellent. Okay. Very good. Well, there's your test. We know our sounds work. Oh, you know what I want to do is I want to shoot. I want to shoot one of the guys. And let's listen to what hit sounds like. This is going to be difficult. I want to get the gun straight. I'm going to try to control the left guy. Oh, I'm out of bullets. Push start. Okay. Hey, there's start. Start works. Howdy, partner. All right. Okay. This is about impossible to do like this. See, yeah, there you go. There's the two sounds. Goodness gracious. Yeah. Cool. Gunfight lives. I did this one so long ago, I don't even remember what I did to it. Obviously, I replaced all of the sockets. And I think I replaced maybe some of these 153s. I don't remember. I don't remember. All the sockets are new. This board got the big overhaul. Yep. Recapped all the caps. Had a couple bad shifters here. Looks like it had some bad 153s, I think I remember. A bad 175. All of these things were jacked up. I have 4 of them right here that were original that I want to test. I want to test out and see if they work. But, yeah, I think I'll go to the schematic and find out which is fire, you know, and just, or movement. Plug these in one at a time and see if they work. Yep, so, excellent. Good to go. As always, thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate it. Gunfight. This is a super cool... I put a bunch of coins in it messing around with that thing, so yeah, it's got coins in it. It's really cool. Thanks to all the Patreon supporters. Appreciate every one of you. Yeah. And thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll see you on the next episode of Classic Arcade Repairs. Peace out. Alright, so I just wanted to jump in really quick. I set the dip switches to 60 seconds in one coin, one play type thing. I had it all opposite of what it should have been. Yeah, so that's all she wrote. If you want to see all the cool analyzing of these chips and stuff that I did with the analyzer, that'll be over on the Patreon channel. So, absolutely cool. Alright guys, we'll see you on the next one. Hey partner. Partner. See you on the next video, partner.